Welcome everybody for our final gathering, and it's a very big one. It makes me happy to see you all here and to feel so appreciated. This has been amazing. Uh, I have never I've never been engaged with something that required such a light touch, and for me offered such incredible positive feedback and just loving responses from everyone. Um, so I cannot tell you how grateful I am for your participation. Um, so for the last day, I've been thinking about what I could possibly bring in for the final poem, and I want to assure you all that we'll be back doing this again in just a few months. Um, when the semester gets rolling again, I'll be sending out the messages regularly, and I just plan on continuing doing it. So the poem today is from Rilke's Book of Hours. I live my life in widening circles, and it's the Joanna Macy translation that she read on Being. I live my life in widening circles by Rainer Maria Rilke. I live my life in widening circles that reach around the world. I may not complete this last one, but I will give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? So one more time, and we'll go into our meditation. I live my life in widening circles. I live my life in widening circles that reach around the world. I may not complete this last one, but I will give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? So let's sit for about 10 minutes. Feet flat on the ground, finding the ground. Your hands on your laps, maybe facing upward. Letting everything soften, the muscles in the face, the crick in the neck. Feeling that brokenness of the heart. The herd crashes through and this openness is left over. Deepening the breathing now to 4 counts in. 6 counts out. You're having lots of thoughts, just tug yourself back in a friendly way. Remember that that's the meditation that you're remembering. That's sati. As you feel your thoughts skipping like a stone over the top of the lake, try to widen that gap between them. Stand in that empty space for a moment. Taking a second to put your bags down at the airport and rest for a moment. That gap be the broken part, widening. In the last minute, you're breathing back to 3 counts in, 5 counts out, and just normal, everyday breathing. I Live My Life in Widening Circles by Rainer Maria Rilke. I live my life in widening circles that reach across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I will give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? Rilke, of course, was the master poet of the first half of the 20th century. He was essentially homeless in a lot of ways, Robert Haas explains. He was born in Prague, but never really identified with that city. And his poetic homelessness is interesting too, because he didn't really belong with the other poets of his generation. He was born in the 1870s, the same decade as Frost. And there are no two poets who could be any more different than Rilke and Frost. He really belonged to the French symbolists with their wildness and their marginality and their visions of heaven and hell. And Rilke's first poems, when he was in his 20s, were from this Book of Hours, which is a kind of sacred book marking the passage of the day and the kind of holy insights that arise with the changing of the light. So this is one of the most famous poems from the Book of Hours. And it's about this circling this unnameable thing, which he calls God. And later in his career, Stephen Mitchell talks about this, later in his career, he stopped using the word God. It became something that he couldn't bring to give a name to. But whatever it is the thing that this figure is circling in the short poem. And it just reminds me of this Buddhist notion of the 5 aggregates, how we think about our thoughts, we think about our emotions, we think about our body, we think about the impressions that life and society have made on us, and we think about the self underlying all of it. And like the skin of an onion, we peel them away and we peel them away and we peel them away. And even the self, we peel that away. And what's left underneath that, that's our true essence, but it is a thing that is completely without a name. And in my translation classes, we talk about the original work and the translated work this way. So if you have 7 translations of the Divine Comedy in a circle, and you read all of them in English, you might get an impression of what the original is like in medieval Italian, but you'll never really know because you don't read medieval Italian. But you can come close by gathering around it all of these things. So he says, what am I? Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? Am I my thoughts? Am I emotions? Am I a self? I am all those things, and I'm none of those things. And that's the beautiful, untranslatable aspect of what we are. So here it is one more time. I live my life in widening circles. I live my life in widening circles that reach across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I will give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? Let's sit and I'll have a question for you to lead the second half. Getting back into that resting place. Bringing the breathing back to 3 counts in, 5 counts out. And then 4 counts in. And 5 counts out. Last week we talked about the alchemy of Tonglen, the lead of suffering that we take in and the compassion that we breathe out, the gold that we make of it. And the question is, what have you been circling in these sits this semester? What did you come to repair? See if you can get there by peeling away your thoughts about it. And circling down to your emotions about it. This is the storm. and circling down. How does it feel in your body? Where's the tension? Where's the hurt? And circling down, what has the world impressed upon you about it? How have you been conditioned to think about it? Now, the smallest revolution, the self. Who is the one watching, standing back and watching? What part of you is impassively witnessing all this? Look from her eyes for a moment. Has there been some repair? You're right there at the tower. Has it helped? I live my life in widening circles. I live my life in widening circles that reach around the world. I may not complete this last one, but I will give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? Thank you, everyone.